Today we're going to be diving into some email marketing information. You'll notice as we go through the presentation that there's a lot of info here, and there's a lot of resources that we've left here for you to come back to for reference. So I'm going to take us through a quick summary. Please stop and interrupt me anywhere that you have any questions. If I skim over anything that you want to know more about, let me know and we'll have that discussion today. And I hope you enjoy.
Explore the world of email marketing campaigns. We'll introduce tools like MailChimp and RLP Sphere and show you how to manage contacts efficiently. Learn the benefits of using marketing software versus regular email for creating successful campaigns to engage your audience. In this session, we will cover these 4 topics: MailChimp, RLP Sphere, managing contacts, and why use software versus regular email.
Okay, so that's Alex, our friendly AI avatar, who came with the name Alex. We did not give it to her. And you will see her, if you come back to the tutorial videos that we've got in here, you'll see her there. She's there to sort of guide you through what's happening. Neat tool we've been playing with lately. Maybe we'll look at some of that in the fall when we come back. Okay, so creating effective email marketing campaigns. Why? Why would we send marketing emails? We have all these other marketing channels. We've got social media. One of the things that's really cool about email marketing is that unlike social, where there's algorithms that can be filtering your content and limiting sort of who gets to see which pieces, this is a direct form of communication. And you're talking directly with a group of people who have expressed some form of interest to you over the years at some point, or you've had some sort of transaction with them. So this is a good targeted group. There's some statistics here about the demographics that are relevant to us in real estate, based on some recent studies that were done asking sort of how do you like to receive marketing communications. And so you can see that across the board, email ranks really high. And it's high amongst millennials who, if any of you saw the report that came out from RLP Canada last week, this group was indicated as very active and becoming very active in investment properties. So they're a good group to keep an eye on. Boomers too, the boomers love email. Email marketing over the last 14 years has been seeing a steady rise. So, in the last year or two, there's been some substantial leaps. You might have noticed in your own inboxes that you're seeing a lot more commercial emails coming through. So 77% over the last 12 months is pretty substantial. Email marketing is really cost effective when compared to other digital marketing channels. So there's been, again, a lot of studies done on this. The numbers vary a little bit, but the ROI that is pretty standard is somewhere between $36 and $42 for every dollar spent. So if you consider that even on a paid platform where maybe you're spending $50 a month, if you've gotten one deal out of that over a year, that is a substantial return on the investment you've made in the software. Again, direct communication, this is something you can personalize. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the emails coming out from Alex lately. He always directs that to us using our first name. That's really important. It resonates with people. It sounds like it's meant just for them, even though they know it's a mass email that's probably gone out to hundreds or thousands of people. So customer engagement, whenever we look at marketing, we want to constantly get in front of potential clients using as many different channels as we can so that we stay top of mind and we've built a trusting relationship with them. So continuing to send people information that is of value to them establishes that trust and that credibility, and it keeps you relevant to them when they're ready to transact. Lead nurturing, I think this one we're all familiar with. You've probably all got your contact databases or you're starting to build them. Lead funnels part of the lead funnels should involve email marketing. And when you get into looking at some of the software that we'll explore later on, there are a lot of automation features that can help you nurture those leads. And that automation allows you to sort of set that funnel and let it run without any further involvement. So it's really cool. You can put the time and energy into setting this up, and then different levels of engagement with that person or different actions they take in your other emails will trigger other things to send to them. So just more on the lead nurturing here. Some statistics on what the most effective strategies are for email marketing. So subscriber segmentation, which is something we will cover in the MailChimp tutorial video that comes up a little later. Segmenting is really important. What this is really is taking your main audience and subcategorizing them based on their interests. So if you know you've got 1,000 people in your database and roughly 500 of them are likely interested in selling at some point, and the other 500 are likely interested in purchasing something, you would want to group those into buyers and sellers and then target that content towards each of those segments. Personalization, so again, using first or last name, using some sort of feature that addresses the person directly, and the automation campaigns. So the automation can get fairly involved. We've made mention of it here. We're not going to go too far into it today, but you will get the feedback form from us after this session. And if there's any topics here, including the automation, that anyone wants to know more about, we can certainly keep that in mind when we come back with the skill building in the fall. Number one rule, make sure that your emails provide value. If they're entertaining, informative, engagement, you can send as many of these as you want. Again, Alex, you'll see he's been sending out quite a bit of information. And he breaks some of those traditional rules in doing that because it works with his audience and it works with his content. Another benefit to email marketing, much like social media, you can get a lot of analytical information about your audience and your database, the people that are in there. You can see whether or not they've opened emails. You can see if they've read the email, how long they've read it for, where they read it from, were they using their smartphone, did they click any of your links, what portion of the email actually caught their attention. And that can give you a lot of valuable information. That can sort of tip you off to when someone might be getting ready to transact. When they might be ready for more of a particular type of information. It can help you really tailor the stuff that you're sending them to their current mindset. It can also tip you off when you need to make a phone call. You can get a sense there of when, okay, they've been looking at a lot of these investment property, information that I've been sending lately. Maybe I should give them a call or send them some of the listings that are relevant. Okay, so what information should you send? We've got a fairly lengthy list here of some suggested content types for ideas. So new listings and open houses, definitely we want to do these, but we don't want to inundate people with them. Informative pieces, tips and advice on buying or selling, home staging, guidance on financing. Neighborhood information, so either for the neighborhoods that you work in or the neighborhoods you want to be working in. Success stories are a great thing to share, sort of longer-winded testimonials that can take potential clients through the experience of a client that you've worked with recently and show them how positive that was and how things went. E-newsletters are a great one. ChatGPT, which we talked about in one of the last sessions, and actually we have another skill building session coming up on June 8th that will dive into this a little more. ChatGPT is a wonderful time-saving tool for generating content for email marketing. If you've drafted an email or you've gotten some content from Meadowtowne or from RLP, you can actually copy and paste that content into MailChimp. You can ask it to customize it a little bit, change it up. You can also ask it to draft you some social posts to go with it. So this is a really cool tool. It'll do your catchy subject lines. It will do the preview text for you. So this is really helpful. So repurposing content. We put out a lot at Meadowtowne, and Royal LePage has a ton more stuff available to you through the RLP network. Here, what we're showing is an example of an email that I hope you all saw from Alex recently about the state of the current market in the GTA. So he sends this stuff out regularly with the intention of having you take that content. It is there for you. You can take it, copy, paste, send it out to your audience without making a change. You can edit it, you can customize it, you can repurpose it into a neat little social video like this. These are some helpful tools for when you are creating the emails. A good rule to follow is to make sure that your image sizes are really small. So if you're sending out an email that is going to a lot of people and the email has a lot of stuff in it, or it's heavily weighted, you've got large files and things, it can very easily get flagged as spam. Keep those file sizes down. There's a free tool here that will actually condense the image size for you. Most of these programs will resize your images. You don't need to be too fussy with those. As long as you're not trying to put a rectangle into a square, you should be good to go, and it will resize it fairly appropriately. Videos are a no-no. We never embed a video directly into an email, again, because of the file size. So the trick for that, grab a screenshot of that video, grab a little button icon out of something like Canva, slap it on top so people see that it's something that's clickable, and then make that image a link within your email. So they can click it and it will take you to, let's say, YouTube, where you've uploaded the video. Whitelisting. This is the most important thing to establish with your audience. So whitelisting is marking you as a safe sender. So how do we not end up in people's junk email? Get them to whitelist you. So there's a few ways to do this. It is really good practice once you've added someone to your email list to send them a welcome email. Hey, thanks for signing up. Or great to see you at the open house last week, wherever you got their information. And in there, you're going to ask them to add you to their address book, so you have been marked as safe. So that one would be a general request. You can also include instructions for all of the popular email clients. So if you're using something like MailChimp, MailChimp's going to tell you if 96% of your audience is opening up those emails in Gmail, or are they using Apple Mail on their phone. So you'll know who's using the bulk of what. And then you can actually send them the specific instructions and say, hey, here's step 1, 2, and 3. Can you make sure that you follow these steps and mark us as safe so that you don't miss any of the valuable information we're sending you? And there is a download link. So when we send out this presentation for everyone, you'll be able to download a PDF there that has the set of instructions for all the popular email clients. How long should your email be? So this varies. This, again, is somewhere Alex breaks the rules, and it's great because it works for his content. So the true answer to this is it really depends on the audience you're sending to, and it depends on the information. As long as it is concise and relevant, your email's not too long. That said, we've given you some benchmarks here that are sort of industry standards. So keep the email between 50 and 125 words, break it into 1 to 3 short paragraphs. If you're sending something longer, like maybe an e-newsletter, 500 words is about the mark we want to keep it at. You always want to break up your text as much as you can. So when we have a look at MailChimp, you'll see that it actually works with text blocks. And it's so easy that you can pick, let's say you want a block of text. You can pick that block up, drag it into where you want in the email, type away. Now maybe you want to add an image, you're going to go back and grab an image box, drop that where you want, add your picture. So it's really important to break things up a lot. And remember that people are often reading things on their phone. So the more that we kind of segment the information in the email, the easier it is for them to digest. Another good rule to follow, make sure the most important information you're sending, this is true for video as well, make sure the most important information you want to convey is at the very beginning. People will skim, you'll lose their attention, it happens. If there's a message you want to get across to them, get it as close to the top of the email as you can. So subject lines and preview text. These are really important. Even if you've got a really crappy email, if your subject line is engaging and catchy and can hold someone's attention, they'll open it. And ideally, once they've opened it, they've found something that's going to keep them reading there. So we've given you some tips and things here for creating successful subject lines. When we get a little farther along and we have a look at measuring sort of KPIs, this is a key one. So this will affect your open rate. Open rate is a really important metric that we use to see, are our campaigns doing well? Is anybody looking at them? Are they even opening the email? So sending the same content with different subject lines to different groups can be a really effective testing strategy to see how they do and what kind of subject lines actually get your audience's attention and get them opening the emails. Same thing with preview text. I'm sure you've all seen this. It's that extra little line that you'll see in an email, and it's usually cut off. Every device will give you a different number of characters that it will show. The one rule here is that we do not want to copy the subject line into the preview text. You want to use that preview text to sort of further entice them, give them a little teaser on what's inside and why they should click to keep reading.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Please.
Is the preview text something where they just take the beginning of the email, or do you create that yourself?
I would use that as a teaser. So if you think of like a movie teaser or something like that, you'd give like a quick 50 to 100 character summary of what's in there. I don't think it typically, unless your first couple of lines are really good.
No, but you're deliberately creating something as a preview text, like that's
Yeah.
a setting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as you're using email software, if you're using Sphere, if you're using MailChimp, anything like that, you'll have two fields when you're ready to send your email. It's subject and preview text.
Swearing okay?
Depends on the content of your email, but I'm fine with it. You do you.
Talia, so let's put it in the context of real estate. So let's say, I don't know, I have an open house that I want to send an email on. I'll talk about. So in your main subject line, you're going to say, you are welcome to our open house on 123 Main Street. So what would you consider to be preview text? Like what would be?
Don't miss us on Saturday from 2 to 4 to see this stunning property with an exclusive pool. I don't know, this is where you'd put your kind of key catchy words to grab people. There's an example here. It's not the best example, but this is a little bit of an example that will to sort of help get you going. Again, ChatGPT. So if you take this and if you've got your email content done, and let's say you are hosting an open house, copy and paste that content when you're done. Take it all out of MailChimp or wherever you've written it, dump it into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you suggest some subject lines and preview text for my marketing email that is promoting my open house this weekend? It's going to give you a list. And what's really cool about this is maybe you like the subject line from the first point it gave you, but you like the preview text from the 10th one it gave you, and there might actually even be an extra little blurb from point 3 that it gave you, and now you're putting those three things together. Now it doesn't look like generated text, it's customized text, it's got more of your voice, and it sounds awesome, and it took you 2 minutes. Some of you, if you were with us for the social, you will recognize this meme, which we have repurposed to suit our content today. So this is just a quick recap on sort of some of the different content types and the tone of how you would use those. So newsletters, they typically tell a story. This is where you're going to give a lot of information. Promotional email usually has some kind of urgency. It could be that there's something, maybe the mortgage rates are about to spike and you want to tell people to get out there and purchase their properties now. Updates on anything that's going on in the industry or with you. Invitation, self-explanatory. Transactional would be like someone's just bought or sold with you and you're following up with them. Re-engagement email is a really good one. If you notice that you've got, there'll always be a group of people that's sitting on your mail list that they've been sitting there forever, but they don't do anything. They don't open the email, they don't read the email, they're not clicking any links, they're not doing anything. So you can kind of target these guys and send them hey, we miss you. What's going on? We noticed that you've been on our mail list. We're so glad to have you here. What can we do for you? What information can we provide to you that's going to be helpful, and see if you can sort of re-engage them. The spam email, you'll see a few references to this. Small aside, the original spam, it's called the 419 scam. It was sent out, it was from Nigeria. This is where a lot of original spam came from. And the email was this big, long, I'm a Nigerian prince and I want to give you money. Send me your banking info. So this has become an internet-wide joke, right? It is, when you're talking about email marketing, this is kind of the thing we refer back to. That is spam. That is our example of spam. So typically when we're sending emails, what we want to do is give something. We want to share information, insight. We want to give them something. We're not asking for anything. That's where things become spammy. Okay, so what not to send. This is a quick list of words that commonly trigger spam filters. So this is for the tech side of things. I'll leave that there because I can see some of you have your phones out. I am going to send this to everybody later, though. So in general, you want to avoid these words as much as you can, especially in subject lines and preview text. However, context is important. You are going to need some of those terms at some point. Some of them will be relevant to real estate. So as long as you're using them sparingly and you're using them contextually, you're fine. Especially if people have whitelisted you. So how often and when should you send marketing? So we've given you here some of the industry standards. So typically, if I'm sending out marketing emails, I will typically do it on a Tuesday or Thursday. 10 a.m., 2 p.m. are traditionally the high points when you will get the best open rate. That said, with real estate, unless you're dealing with a commercial investor who's likely doing this during the day, people tend to be thinking about buying and selling their homes in the off hours. So this is something where you really want to test your audience. Saturdays are notoriously a bad open rate day. That may not be true for you guys. So this is something to play around with. Try different times, different days, see what works.
Yeah, Talia, are these stats just like general? Not
These are
industry specific?
no, these are specific to email marketing sort of globally. So I mean, they're good starting points for sure. But I would definitely, for you guys, I would try, Saturday maybe not so much, especially if the weather's good, people are out and they're doing things. Sundays could be a good day. Bad weather days are always good for digital marketing. And, try in the evenings and things like that. I would play with that one a fair bit and see with this industry specifically, and with your audience specifically, where you're getting the most opens, or when. So how often? There are some general rules here. Once a week is typically ample. That's often what we'll use as the benchmark, where we're going to kind of limit it at once per week. That said, if your emails are good and people are reading them and they're interested in them, you can send as many as you want. If you start seeing problems in your statistics, people are unsubscribing, someone's complained about being spammed, something like this, then you would want to slow it down. But essentially this relates to your content and how often you're sending things out. Now what kind of things you're sending out. That said, consistency is one of the most important things here. It helps to build trust with people when they know what to expect from you. So let's say you have a quarterly newsletter, and then maybe you also do a monthly stats report, right? So right there you've got 16 emails. If you wanted to send one every other week, you've got 10 spots left to cover off some other stuff, right? So a client success story, some neighborhood information, an update on your listings in an area they might be interested in. So this is kind of a good way to structure the content. They know once a month I'll see market stats here. Every quarter I'll see this really helpful newsletter that maybe has some really great recipe in it. And then they'll get some other on-the-fly content throughout the year, but not too much. Okay, so there is a fine balance there, and by tracking the analytics, that's where you'll really see whether or not you've established that balance. How to send marketing emails. All right, so there are software versus regular mail. Here's the thing, some people try to do this with regular email clients. It is a nightmare. They are not built for this. They don't have the features. They don't have the scalability. They don't have the built-in fail-safes to cover your butt on the legislation that we are governed by in Canada. So with an email marketing tool, you've got things like automation, templates, you've got scalability, you've got insights, they help you with compliance. There are a ton of reasons to use a platform, not your personal email account. This is not somewhere. You can use mail merge. You can copy and paste contacts, but trying to find the history on the correspondence with them, trying to figure out what they opened, if they read anything, did they click anything, have they unsubscribed, who unsubscribed, how am I going to keep track of who unsubscribed so I don't email them again later? Those things are incredibly difficult outside of an email marketing platform. And the analytics, you don't get those insights at all. Oh, the personalization and segmentation, these are two other things you can't get outside of an email marketing platform. Automations we talked about, templates and design tools. So RLP Sphere, we're gonna just touch on this quickly. I do have a quick tutorial video in here on how to use some of their templates, but we haven't gone too deep into this because the RLP network has so many training resources available to you guys that are specific to this platform. This is a free tool for Royal LePage agents. And if you're not using it yet, but you're thinking about email marketing, it's a good reason to start using this. So it's really simple. If your contacts are already being managed in here, really easy. You don't need to worry about importing anything into another platform like MailChimp. Your smart leads are integrated in here as well if you're using those. And RLP has hundreds, thousands. They have a lot of pre-formatted emails that aren't just templates. It's everything. It's it's links and graphics and color schemes and text content. There are a ton, and they're really easy to access. A couple of button clicks, you've got a full email that's developed. You can edit those, you can customize those. So this is a really great starting point if you want to get going with email marketing. You don't have a lot of time, you're a little stuck on content. There is so much in here that is just, it's right at your fingertips and it doesn't cost you anything. So there's a full video you guys can come back to if that's relevant for you. So MailChimp, you keep hearing me refer to MailChimp. This is sort of this was like the OG of email platforms. It's the original one. It's the most popular, and it is considered the most easy to use. They have free versions that have some limitations. Most of these softwares are sort of pay per use. So the more contacts you have, the more emails you send, the more features you need, the more you pay. But they do have a free plan that's pretty robust. Like I said, it is pretty within the realm of email marketing platforms. This one is pretty easy to use, has all the features that we've talked about. It also integrates really nicely with a lot of third-party software. So if you're using a CRM that's not in Sphere, there's a good likelihood that MailChimp will have an integration tool for it. So again, that saves you moving your contacts around. Oh, are we stuck? There we go. So there's the MailChimp video, and you guys can come back to that. This one's a little longer. Nope. There we go. So who to email? Everyone. Email everybody that's in your database. Okay, so existing clients. The legislation in Ontario gives you 2 years after you have conducted business with someone wherein you can pick up and start emailing them. Now, that 2 years is a little, if it's been 2 years, but in the interim, you've talked with them, you've emailed them, they've asked you for any information, I would say that 2 years starts over again is how I would look at that. Potential buyers and sellers, obviously, any leads or potential clients whose information you're picking up along the way. Local homeowners, so if there is an area that you have or would like to saturate, we'll come to the next slide here. A good tip for reaching out to other real estate professionals who could become referral sources for you. Investors, people in local neighborhoods, Facebook is a great spot because they have all these community groups. So this is a really great place to reach people, and you don't want to be too salesy or too upfront, but you can certainly offer up information. Hey, is anyone interested in a marketing report, on a real estate market report on Meadowtowne? Did you want to know how things are going out there? Cool. DM me your email address. Now they're on your mailing list. Okay. It's a good way to collect email addresses. Okay, so there's who you should email and there's who you can email. CASL, Canada's anti-spam legislation. This is the governing legislation that is enforced by the CRTC that protects us from unwanted electronic commercial communications. So it includes direct messages on social media, it includes text messages, it includes email. The 3 main points to be aware of with CASL: make sure you've obtained consent, and we'll talk about that a little more in a minute. Always identify yourself and provide your contact information, and always include a working unsubscribe link. If you're using a third-party platform, an email marketing platform, those last 2 points will automatically be included for you. Those systems do their best to help keep you compliant. So that information, you actually can't get it out of there. It will always reside in the bottom half of the email where people expect it. Where are we for time? So there are 2 types of consent that are accepted. There is express consent, which is where somebody verbally, in writing, or electronically has agreed to receiving marketing emails from you. There's some examples here with some specifics. If you've got a website, having a sign-up form on your website in that spot that we call above the fold. So it's the part of your site where it just loads and nobody has to scroll. Having them there can have really, really, really good results in terms of getting people to sign up to receive emails from you. There are some situations where we have implied consent. So existing business relationship is one of them. Conspicuously published email addresses under certain circumstances, which are outlined there. So this is all here for you guys to come back with for reference. Good rule of thumb, it's a really good practice to send that welcome email. If you've sent a welcome email and it has your unsubscribe button in the bottom, you have given that person the opportunity to opt out from the very first communication. It's a good way to cover your button in the event of any complaints, which I will say that we've never seen here. So, okay, so the big question, how do we avoid being spammy? Follow the legislation. Email people regularly, but not too often, and you'll get a feel for that if you're keeping an eye on your analytics. And the most important part is to make sure you're providing quality content. If people are interested in what you're sending, they're not going to consider it spam. It's not going to bother them. They're going to be happy to receive those emails. And again, it's going to keep you top of mind when they're looking for some kind of information that's relevant to what you do. Measuring the effectiveness of campaigns. So this is where we get into the analytics and insights we've been talking about. So the 2 most important ones, especially when you're getting going, that you want to be concerned with: open rate, click-through rate. So if you're using MailChimp, we'll show you how to access those in that tutorial video. And really, you're just looking at how many people open my email. You can see when they opened it too, which is helpful. If you sent an email at 10 in the morning but nobody opened it till 6 in the evening, probably a better idea to start sending them at 6 in the evening. If you sent a really great email and nobody opened it at all, change the subject line, send it again. See what happens then, okay? Click-through rate. So this is how many people actually engaged with something. So if your email said like, hey, want to get this free market report, click here to download it, you want to know how many people clicked it. There are some other metrics here that you'll see in these systems. They're all pretty self-explanatory. We've given you a breakdown to come back to for reference. But those are really the 2 most important. The bounce rate is how many of your emails didn't get through. So one of the things that is important, and we'll touch on it in best practices, is to scrub or clean your mailing list once in a while. What happens electronically when you're sending emails, especially in volume, is you develop like a reputation amongst the computers that are receiving these emails, right? So if your email list has 100 people on it that you know their addresses are good, but you just haven't bothered to take them off, that's going to damage your reputation. It makes you more likely to be flagged as spam. Okay, so keeping that list clean, if you're seeing that something's bouncing and it'll show you if it's a hard bounce, that address isn't any good. So either go look that person up and get a current address or take them off your list. There's some information here on interpreting stats. These are industry averages, just to give you kind of a baseline. And when I say industry, marketing industry, not specific to real estate. If you're using MailChimp, when you set it up, if you put in the industry that you're in, if you put in there that you're in real estate, it will actually benchmark you against the data it has for other real estate companies. That can be really helpful. So it'll show you what's the open rate, the click-through rate in your industry, and it'll actually graph out your comparison points so you can see if you're doing kind of better or worse than the industry average, and you can sort of adjust and improve from there. Okay, we have a very long list of best practices. We'll run through some of these, and then again, this will be here for you guys to reference on your own. Welcome email, really important. Segmenting your list is really important because not everybody on that list is going to share the same interests. Personalizing your emails, first name, last name, including that with your content is a really great idea. Making sure you're providing value and having a clear call to action is a great way to judge people's engagement and see, like, am I emailing them for no reason? Am I putting the time into sending them something they don't care about? If you're asking them to do something in order to get something, click this button to receive this, sign up here for, and then seeing whether or not they fall through on that can give you a very good indication of where that person is in their real estate journey at that particular moment. Optimize for mobile, so make sure everything's kept short and sweet and break it down. Test and monitor your results. So this is where you want to try different subject lines, different preview text. Try using the same content and making it look different if something's not resonating, but you think it's good information. Consistency, very, very, very important. Use high quality images, but again, make sure that the file size is kept down. Use one of those compression tools that we left for you up at the front. Follow the legal guidelines. And remember that so while you are nurturing a client base, the idea, and you all know this as agents, is that you're building relationships with people, right? These are long-term lasting relationships, and it's important to come into these types of communications with that mindset that you're communicating with someone that you do want to have a relationship with. It's not just a client base, it's not just buying and selling properties. You want to really have conversations with them, open those doors, become a trusted figure and a credible figure. Recap, you guys know what we went over. We'll skip that one for today. There's a funny example here about a well-formatted email from Alex versus a not so well. This one's spam. We would call this spam. There's misrepresentation here. They're asking for something, and this is not this is not what we want to do. Sorry? Right, yes, there's spelling mistakes. It's hard to take this one seriously, right? If you look at Alex's, what he's done here is he's speaking directly to you. You can see that this is addressed to me. He's kept it short and sweet, but his content is very, very relevant. He's offered me some helpful information without my having to do anything further, and he signed off on it. If I could have fit the whole email in here, you would have also seen that along the bottom was Meadowtowne's contact information along with an unsubscribe button, which none of us should ever use with internal emails, please. That is it. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you know if Canvas has a tool like this for email? So, because I see they have many things.
In Canva?
In Canvas, yeah. So, I don't know if they have something for email.
So Canva actually just recently pulled all of their email templates, and I'm glad they did because none of them were sized appropriately. They were really hard to work with, even for me. So I would use Canva for creating graphics that you want to use inside of the email. But what you'll see in the MailChimp tutorial is you'll see how to find their pre-formatted templates. So they've got a lot of them, right? If you want 2 columns and an image on top, or you want, a single column and an image on the bottom. They have a lot of these pre-formatted layouts that are a button click away. And then for you, it's just, copy and paste in your content. It has a text editor that's very similar to Word. You can add links, you can add pictures. Don't add videos, but it will let you. So I would use Canva to make the supporting pieces to come in. And Canva's a good tool to use because you can save your images at a lower resolution. You don't want to lose the quality, but you can save them at a lower resolution in Canva when you save, and that keeps the file size small, which is ideal for your email. Okay, but the other thing you can do is you can use Canva for inspiration. So if you look at something, if you look at one of their email templates and go, oh, that looks really pretty, I like that, you can take that into MailChimp or Sphere and move your content blocks around so that they look very similar and use it sort of to customize it yourself that way. But I wouldn't use it as more than inspiration because trying to actually pull one of their templates over, it does not work. It's a good question. Anyone else?
ChatGPT there's a few free versions of it, and then there's some paid versions.
Yes.
You get obviously get more with the paid version. It's better to grab a monthly subscription to it.
So I use it enough that I do, and I will say that there is a difference. So they're on version 3.5 right now is the current free version, which is great. It is great. On version 4, which you pay, I think it's $35 a month Canadian we pay for it, it allows you more queries, so it does tap out, right? Like I think in the free one you can do maybe 25 every 4 hours or something. I don't know, it does limit you. So you get more in a shorter time period with the paid version. I have also noticed its responses are a little more robust. I like its responses better enough to pay for it. So I think it really depends how much you're using it. If you're generating email content and doing your social posts and blog posts, if you're really creating a lot of content with it, I would say there is value in getting the paid version. But the free one also works just great. So really depends on your need. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with this thought. Jacob De Silva from Pinder Singh's team is going to be hosting the next skill building session in Georgetown on June the 8th. If you haven't signed up, the QR code is there. So we touched on ChatGPT as a content generation tool in one of our earlier sessions in the last few weeks. Jacob's going to take you a little farther into this and dive into some use cases. He's going to have everyone bring out their fully charged laptops and actually sit down and use the system together in a few different ways that are applicable to agents. So I would encourage you all to sign up if you have not. I will be there. I hope to see you there. And in closing, if you have any questions for me, if you would like to book a marketing consult, you can reach me here through email, or you can get to my calendar through that QR code, and I will be happy to spend some time discussing your marketing needs and plans with you. Thank you.